Thank you all for the invitation to be here with you today. As you and I were listening to the introduction, the very kind introduction, what is important is just one thing, that for me, the relationship that I have with labor is a badge of honor. That is representing folks, hardworking people who work, who build, who construct. That is one of the privileges of my life. And so I thank you for your friendship, and I thank you for the years of this relationship of working together. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. You've heard, I know, rumors are that this is a kind of a partisan town, right? A little bit of gridlock from time to time. I think we've seen some movement recently, some bipartisan movement recently, and I think that's a good sign. But obviously there's so many more opportunities that we have, and so many more challenges that we have to work together. And it requires your active involvement. It requires you being involved and your leadership being involved. And I can tell you, as proud as I am of the relationship that I have with many of you, I have that relationship with many of the folks that are up here with the leadership. It's important that members of Congress, and I think particularly Republicans, to hear directly from you, the men and women who are building our country, those who are working hard to put bread on the table to your families. It's important that we hear from you directly. There are so many issues that I'm convinced we can always come together on. And I want to just mention a couple. By the way, Miguel Mendoza, who's here with me from my staff, prepared this wonderful 73-page speech. And Miguel, I apologize, I'm not going to read it, all right? I apologize. But I do want to talk about a couple of issues. It was mentioned in the introduction, my support for PLAs and Davis-Bacon. And as was mentioned, not a big surprise either, particularly in the subcommittee that I chair, every year there are challenges to both PLAs and Davis-Bacon. I have always fought with my colleagues to keep the language, Davis-Bacon and the PLAs intact. It's going to happen one more time. We will have those challenges. We will have those challenges one more time. This time, however, I am chairman of that subcommittee. If it was hard to get rid of it then, it's going to be harder for them to get rid of it now. I want to talk about a couple other issues. You know that there's been a transformation in the world and in the country regarding energy. We are now one of the largest producers of energy in the planet. You want to change reality in the world? You want to change the relationship between our interests and our relationship with the Middle East? You want to lower Putin and Russians' ability to, frankly, be the thug of that part of the world? You do it, among other ways, by the United States becoming not only the largest producer of natural gas, but the largest producer and exporter of natural gas, of oil, of coal, of whatever it is that we have in our country that produces energy. And we have the ability to do that. We have the best technology, and we have the best individuals, the best trained workforce in the entire world. And again, not only would it help transform and create millions of jobs here in the United States, it would help transform the world. And it would allow men and women in the United States of America, as opposed to us importing oil, it would allow our workers to be the ones that create that wealth by creating those jobs, by developing our own energy resources. And we can do that. And by the way, I get it. I get it. Nothing in life is risk-free. Nothing in life is risk-free. And there is some risk in developing energy. But there's more risk in importing it than there is in developing our own energy sources. So again, I thank you for your efforts, for your support, but I ask you to help us, those of us that want to do that, to continue to pressure, whether it's, for example, on the XL pipeline that you all have been very vocal about. That's important, but it's got to be more than that. So together we have to continue to work to make sure, as I said a little while ago, that we become the #1 producer and exporter of energy in the entire planet, and we can do that. Now, let me talk a little bit about transportation. It's an issue that I've been involved with for a long, long time. There's an area I think that we have a lot of opportunities to work together. I'm not saying work together, not only you and me, because we do work together, but work together, Republicans and Democrats, House and Senate, White House, and the entire country. I have the privilege of chairing that subcommittee of appropriations that funds our transportation and housing programs. Now, I will tell you, I'm currently, with my colleagues, in the process of trying to put together a bill to hopefully have a markup relatively soon. And I will tell you that the decisions are not going to be easy. We're under the sequester law, whether we like it or not. That is the law of the land. So if it's interesting, if we spend more than the sequester, that additional money gets sequestered, it gets taken off the top. So until that law is changed, and I'm hoping it will be, by the way, until that law is changed, we have to mark up our bills to those sequester levels. So I'm going to be focusing on and trying to protect the core programs, the essential core programs. And I will tell you, it's not necessarily going to be easy, but I think we have a chance to do that. However, what is clear is that we need a long-term surface transportation bill that makes that allows for long-term planning, that allows for our economy to grow. And I don't need to convince anybody here that of the substantial benefits of a long-term bill. I represent Southern Florida, and in Southern Florida, I don't mean to be a jerk about this to the rest of you, but in Southern Florida, we don't have a construction season. Our season is year-round. I just ran into Randy Pines, who actually used to be from South Central Florida, now he's living in Miami, and he can attest, we happen to live in a part of the country which is great, because we can work year-round on construction projects. Those are real jobs, but not only that, there is a real necessity, because we all know that our infrastructure needs help. So again, I look forward to continue working with you on a long-term plan, to have a long-term bill. As you all know, for the last few cycles, we've had to take just regular funds from the federal government to patch the hole in the DOT trust fund. We cannot continue to live that way. We need a long-term bill, and I'm optimistic that we will get there, again, with your help. Lastly, I want to touch on another bill, another issue that was also mentioned in the introduction. And I'm trying to find out where Miguel put that here. But after 50-something, you need glasses, and of course I didn't bring them. It's the issue of immigration and immigration reform. Sonia can attest that I, like you, have been working on that issue longer than we care to admit. We have an immigration system that's broken. It's broken from A to Z. It does not work for our national security interests. It does not work for our economic interests. Frankly, it does not adhere to the rule of law. I always mention how the United States has the right and the obligation to know and determine who comes in and leaves. We're not doing that now. The United States has to be able to have a legal system that works for our economic and our national security interests. We don't have that right now. And whether people like to admit it or not, there are millions of people who are in the country right now undocumented, and ignoring the fact that they're here will not make that issue go away. So we need to continue to work together on solutions that can get the required bipartisan support to pass it out of the House, the Senate, and get the President's signature. I continue to work on that. We'll continue to work on that. And I'm the eternal optimist. I know that this is a partisan gridlock town. But as we saw in the last couple months, every once in a while, you can have some bipartisan agreement. And as our relationship shows, yours and mine, many times it's an issue of sitting down and understanding what's important. I will end how I started. For me, representing hard-working, talented, dedicated Americans, working with so many of you is one of the great privileges, and I consider that a badge of honor. I want to thank you for what you do. I want to thank you for your friendship and your loyalty. And as always, you can continue to count on my support and my friendship. Thank you so very much. God bless all of you, and that may God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you very much.